Minicamp has begun, but these storylines ain't so many. All right, we got some big things to react to, big things to discuss. So, welcome to another episode of Boy Green Meets Wudi. Time to discuss right here, right now.
Zoinks! It is unequivocally the Super Bowl for New York Jet fans.
Field Yates, baby. Field Gosh darn Yates. Let's bring him on the show.
Come on, people. Connor Rodgers is joining the show. What's up, Connor? But Trevor Gosh darn Sycamore, baby, for me, personally, my favorite New York Jet of all time.
Wow, it's great to be on. What an intro that was right there.
Paul, nobody does an intro like you, man.
Paul, you give the best intro of literally any podcast that I've ever been.
I'm gonna lose my gosh darn bananas.
Welcome to another episode of Boy Green Meets Wudi. It is your boy, James Wudi. And of course, you already know who this is, whose channel it is. All right, the name on the marquee, it is the one, the only Boy Green. How you doing?
Damn straight. Well, it's kind of bittersweet, to be honest with you, because what we're discussing and reacting to this week is the final thing of substance, hopefully. I'll explain more on that in a second, but hopefully the final thing of substance we're talking about till training camp, because if we're getting any story on July 2nd on a player, that's normally no bueno. He was doing something crazy. So this will be the last substance thing that is actually happening in the moment for the Jets for a while, and then we'll be diving into we have a lot of fun stuff planned, of course, for the offseason stuff in the darkness, in the upside down, which I'm looking forward to. But for now, there's plenty of stories to discuss. And shout out to Matthias, who said he's finally made it to one of these live streams, which are, again, every Tuesday, Thursday, live at 3 o'clock on youtube.com/boygreen25 Twitter, and the James Wudi on Instagram.
Yes, definitely got some exciting things planned for the future. But right now we talking about the present.
Sure.
Yeah. And we got some things planned. Today, I mean, there are a couple of things to dissect. Minicamp has begun, like Boy Green said. It's the last bit of substance, the last bit of nutrients before we start our fast during the off season. It's quite a bit to chew.
That there is. Let's get into it. We'll get to the one that people thought could happen, and that was Hassan Reddick not showing up to mandatory minicamp. He hadn't shown up to any of the OTAs. He was asked. He had this little charity football camp thing over the weekend, and someone from the New York Post approached him. Hassan, are you gonna be at mandatory minicamp this week? And he's like, no comment. That's not a riveting sign that he was going to be at minicamp. So, ring the bell. We should probably have a sounder, I guess, for that. Let me see what I got here. I actually have one sounder, but this is not like a negative sound, but it's. I'll try to mix some more of those in there. Oh, geez, that's just going to keep looping. Okay, whatever. We're in production stage on some of these, but officially we have a holdout on our hands because before it's all voluntary. So, which is what a lot of fans responded to us. Hey, what are you guys talking about? It's voluntary. Screw you, you media. Always making up stories. What about now, you bastards? Okay, he skipped the mandatory portion, so he could be fined upwards of $50,000. It's a 2-day minicamp. It was originally scheduled for 3. Now it's only 2 days, and that's the first one. Wudi, is that Hassan Reddick ain't there. While Salah said today, I'm not sure why he's not here. Like, we know why he's not there. It's obviously contract related.
Yeah, I'm actually embarrassed because usually, I like to pride myself on tea leaves, reading those tea leaves when news happen, seeing the print beyond the letter. But I missed this. I glossed over this. That little high pitch Alvin and the Chipmunks voice that you used. Call me Theodore, because I was out here saying he's a vet. It's all good. He doesn't need to be there. But I did not realize the contract situation. Now that I am aware, I'm sweating. I'm shaking in my boots. I'm not even wearing boots. And I'm still shaking in them. This is a bad situation, and it's one that I feel like is almost lose-lose. You give Hassan the money, and that's a loss. That would be a loss if they pay him what he is asking for. He's earned it, so that's not the problem. The problem is that you had one of the best draft classes in NFL history, and they are due money, and they are not going to be 30 years old this season. That's and Joe Douglas has prided himself on financial flexibility this whole time. 5 years of Joe. We know he is the devil. We know he needs financial flexibility. We would be messing that up to pay him. And then on the other side, if he doesn't play or if he's traded again, whatever the other option is, that's a loss. Because why did we go through this whole ordeal? So I think it's a lose-lose situation that I should have seen coming. Call me the creator of the Titanic, because here we are, bang, hit this iceberg, and here I was thinking we were the unsinkable ship.
The answers we don't know, which again, Robert Saleh was doing his version of the Matrix going, trying to dodge every bullet apparently that was out there. And shout out to the media for asking some very pointed, straight questions. Have you spoken with Hassan? Because again, one of the things Saleh says, "Oh boy, I haven't spoken to him since the trade." And this was before today's press conference. It's like, oh boy. And then he said, "Yeah, I talked to him over the weekend." Like, yeah, yep, we know what's up. And then people are like, "Okay, so what'd you talk about?" It was kind of a one-on-one thing. Don't really want to talk about that. Okay. Saleh, this was contract related, right? Why he's not there? I wouldn't say that. Okay, what would you say? That's private. Okay. And then, okay, and this is a reporter talking. This is from today's press conference. I'm just giving you the scoop, okay, of what really was going on, right? So the reporter goes, so it looked like the Eagles traded him because he wanted a contract. That's kind of what they talked about openly. So what'd you guys talk about? Because they asked him first, Saleh, did you speak to him after the trade? Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Sure did. Okay. Did the contract thing come up? Not to me, but that must be a Joe Douglas question. That must have been a conversation they had. So they're like, so you know nothing about a contract situation? Not to my knowledge. It's like this great scene in Good Burger. How often can you quote Good Burger? Okay. They go over to Kenan Thompson, his character, Dexter, right? And in Good Burger, the first one. And then they ask him, do you have any, driving experience? And then, because he got into a car accident, which is the whole reason that he got into the situation in the first place. And, do you have any accident history? And he goes, not to your knowledge. He's like, okay, you're hired. So there was a little bit of that in today's press conference, which I found really funny. He's like, any contract stuff? Not to my knowledge, but it felt like he did know that it was that sort of thing. But here's the thing also that we talked about before, where you're kind of like, boy, Titanic crashes, glacial, all these issues coming up. We got a month. We got a month plus, actually. It's not just a month. They haven't announced a training camp date yet that I've seen. So normally it's like, let me pull up the calendar here so I could try to guess when it's going to be. If I had to guess on Jets report date, I'd shoot for, that would be the 1, 2, 3. That'd be the fourth week in July. That is the week of the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th. That week, I would imagine, is when the Jets players start to report that week. So we have a month and 10 days, give or take, and probably even a little bit more, a few shekels more than that, for them to figure it out. So to me, right now, it's the story went from a non-story to, okay, now there's a little something here. Now you got a month to figure it out, Joe Douglas. And again, if the Jets knew about this beforehand, which they had to have, about a potential contract situation or sweetener, however you're going to do it to get him in camp, you have a month to figure it out. You don't want this to start rolling into training camp where now he's missing time, like missing OTAs, whatever. Missing mandatory minicamp outside of the fine, and he's supposed to be there. whatever. Missing training camp, and all of a sudden we have a Darrelle Revis situation where Darrelle didn't show up till like days before the Jets-Ravens season opener way back when. Like, that's like, I don't want Reddick showing up and he gets hurt or he's not prepared, and then like the Jets are jeopardizing their chances by not having a player ready as he should have been. Like, I hope there's a line in the sand and they're doing this weird negotiation dance. Okay, we're not talking contract. He's like, I ain't showing up. And then it's just awkward. 2 weeks before camp. All right, you bastard. Here's your money. Like, let's go. Let's roll. So hopefully that's all this is. But to your point, the historic 2022 draft class, I don't think if a gun gets shot, I don't think we feel the pain of the bullet till next year when we realize, oh shit, that's who got shot. In the like a dark room with the lights off and the gun goes off, but we don't really know who was shot or who's bleeding from the 2022 class, who gets lost. It probably is one of the latter two of Jermaine Johnson or Brees, as opposed to the front two top 10 picks of Sauce or Garrett, would be my guess, if we were to get to that with financials.
Well, who knows, because the money is a little different, right? What you pay a running back versus what you pay a receiver, Justin Jefferson. Kind of made his impact there. So we'll see. But I think I would imagine a large majority of the Jets fan base would like to do everything in their power to keep all four. I think that's
of course, yeah. I think it's possible.
Just committing a lot of money to Hassan, whether it's a couple years after this, 1 year after this, it's counterproductive for that goal. And I think Joe Douglas also wants to accomplish that goal if he's still here. So that's a good point. I really think this trade, I think the reason why I am much more nervous than I've been is what you said. They should have known that when they made the trade, they should have known this situation. So they should have had a plan in place. Like, why has it now been all this time and either the plan's not executed or they're back to the drawing board? Like, something has got to miss. If you knew this was the situation, there's no reason why it should have taken this long. And now we're talking about, we got a month. Well, what happened in the month prior? This upcoming month, like I said, I think it's a lose-lose no matter what happens, unless somehow, some way, he wakes up, like 51st dates, just forgets, he got into an accident, forgets that he wanted this money, and Joe Douglas convinces him to take less money. That's the only possible win for the Jets. Any other solution is a loss. Just a matter of how big that loss is.
Yeah, the thing we'll have to see, though, because, again, the cap is a mythological beast. It's not a complete myth. It exists, but, it's kind of like Sasquatch, that you just kind of have to figure out what's the specs here on this situation and whether or not the Jets can retain everybody and do it, because Hassan Reddick, straight up, is one of the best pass rushers in the NFL, point blank. The stats say it for themselves. The normal Google stats, as Mr. Wudi likes to say, or advanced analytics, first step, pass rush quickness, all of those extra analytics you could see from Next Gen and PFF and stuff like that. Like, Hassan Reddick is friggin' phenomenal. So if he's signed, if I sign him to a long-term deal, my long-term deal is no more than 2 years. It's a 2-year package is what I'm willing to do for him, because that covers the Rodgers run in theory, or close to it, of the Rodgers run and a primo position. That's what I'd be willing to do, and hopefully you could kick that money really to the future, because they don't have a lot of money now. So you'd probably have to backload that deal. And that's where, to your point, you get into the dangerous category. If you backload some of these deals and then you look at the money that's available immediately at that point in time for some of those players, that's where you could get a little bit funky. So let's see what happens. I don't think if they sign him to this 2-year mini extension that it's 100% Jermaine's gone or Brees is gone or Garrett's gone or whoever's gone. But it makes it a lot harder for Joe Douglas to get creative to figure out how all this is going to work. But that's why they pay him the big bucks, to figure this out. To think about 2022, that's another situation that you should have been thinking about as soon as year one happened. You're like, oh, shit, okay. Like, at a bare minimum, Garrett Wilson won Offensive Rookie of the Year, Sauce Gardner won Defensive Rookie of the Year, and now 2 years through their career so far, they're all entering year threes. You're like, holy shit, Sauce Gardner's a first-team All-Pro his first 2 years, first cornerback in the modern era to ever do that. All right, he's going to be highest paid. And then you could start, once you know that information, you could start budgeting in theory. Okay, what's this going to look like? Start planning. So once it's available, again, none of those guys can technically talk extension until next year. That's where maybe some of these plans in place and Joe Douglas can look like the genius that hopefully some people expect him to be. Now, he hasn't been in this position yet. Quite frankly, no Jets person has been in this position where you have this amount of guys to pay all at the same time. So it will be a unique, as the kids like to say, a first world problem for the team to figure out. But so from this perspective, Wudi, like Reddick was it was possible that he could skip out minicamp. Like, okay, it was within the realm of possibility. Some people didn't think he would. Some people thought he would. So that one was kind of floating. The one we didn't know that was floating was Aaron Rodgers not being there for mandatory minicamp. And Saleh explained that it was an inexcused absence. It was something they told him about months ago. Hey, I ain't going to be there. He pulled this Magic Johnson that Aaron Rodgers said, I'm not going to be there. Something more important. We don't know what the more important thing is yet. I'm sure that will come out at some point. Everyone tracking Aaron Rodgers, and I was playing the I'll pull this up on the show just because that's a good clip. Let me get the Key and Peele thing I put out on Twitter. We're all asking these questions here. Yeah, let me put this up here. Let me try to get a good laugh from Wudi if I can, and anyone who may be watching it. So I shared this clip from Key and Peele. This is what everyone was saying today.
Ron, where are you? Where is Ron right now? No Ron, huh? Well, you better be sick, dead, or mute.
Aaron, and that's what we're talking about. Where the hell is Aaron Rodgers? So let me ask you just right off the top, because we could break this down into a few layers. Aaron Rodgers not being there for mandatory minicamp, when you saw that headline and you knew we were talking today, what was your first reaction?
I think it's a non-story.
Okay.
I do love the meme though that fit perfectly, classic clip used perfectly. But yeah, I think it's a non-story. I mean, Rodgers, our boy Eric on Twitter pretty much said it. From the moment he got traded to us, he's been at everything. We've seen what an Aaron Rodgers uninterested, I don't even know what I just said, but uninterested offseason looks like, all right, where he's not anywhere, and not trying to work with anybody. That's been the exact opposite of Aaron's MO since he got to New York. He spent as much time in the city as possible, going to the games, playing, got to introduce Sauce to Jessica Alba. He's been at OTAs, voluntary, taking time. So he has done it all. All right. Saleh said that the reason why he's not there, it's important to him. All right. I don't care if it's his neighbor's niece's quinceañera. All right. If that's important to him and he wants to go, he has earned that right. He is the leader of this team. He's made a profound impact on every single one of his teammates. He is allowed to do something like this, and he's getting fined. So it's not even like, it's not without penalty. If anything, that might be more noteworthy than the absence itself. But I'm all in on Rodgers. He's all in on the Jets.
Yeah, let me just clarify that, because I think Eric is mad at the way I headlined the video. I guess is what he's talking about. The headline of this video is reacting to Hassan Reddick and Aaron Rodgers bailing on New York Jets mandatory minicamp. So it's one of these situations, which I saw a little bit of this on Twitter. Like, he let them know what was up. But, like, if I tell my work, hey, I'm not going to be here at the radio station because I'm going to a James Wudi concert, they could say, oh, cool. But if I just told them weeks in advance, that doesn't change the fact that it wasn't excused. Like, excused is like a doctor's appointment. Oh, boy, I got a doctor thing. Okay, here's your little note. Excused absent. Just because you tell them in advance, hey, man, I got something I'm going to go to. It's nothing, we don't know what it is, but I would assume nothing to do with football. What if it would have been an excused thing. And so it wasn't excused. So, like, He did bail on it, and I'm fine with it, by the way. But it is what skipped, bailed. Google your synonym of choice for him not showing up. That's just the truth. He isn't there. And by the way, I'm completely fine with it. Here's a reason why I'm fine with it. He's been there the entire time for voluntary when he didn't have to be. He chose to be there for voluntary workouts. So if he skips, that's just, I think, where all this is getting lost. There's a random 2-day mandatory minicamp that we're doing right now. And then he did a bunch of the voluntary stuff before. If we just would have inverted it and he skipped to the voluntary, no one would have given a flying hoot. And he happened to be there for the mandatory. But because it was mandatory and that it was so important to him, he's like, find me. I don't give a flying hoot. Find me if you want. And by the way, John Hepburn is asking how much did Rodgers give back? It was over $30 million in guaranteed money that he gave back to the Jets. Now, the thing I have not been able to clear an answer for by the time of this show is that's another thing from Saleh that like raised eyebrows. So it's an inexcused absence, and that Rodgers and Reddick, for that matter, are subject to fines according to the NFL CBA. And a lot of people are like, Jets, why would you fine him? I can't understand whether the Jets have the option later to waive the fines, because that used to be in the old CBA. I'm not sure if that changed in the current CBA, because then it kind of spit on the rules. If, Aaron Rodgers skips out mandatory minicamp, he has fines, the Jets are like, you're fine. Then other, like, Reddick's going to be like, was I not fine? So it's fine for him, but not fine for me. He's doing it for whatever reason. Who cares? Well, the reason, if you're not there, you're not there. Outside of excused absences, like I said, medically speaking. So I couldn't get an answer on that straight up, but I do believe that the latest CBA means the Jets won't be able to waive him. So Rodgers will have to pay the penalty for deciding to do whatever he did, which, by the way, is life. We make decisions, and there's consequences for our actions. And again, he's gonna wipe his tears with Benjamins today? I can't find. Like, is that what's gonna happen? Who gives a flying hoot about that? So at first I was kind of like, it would just be a bad message if the Jets did fine him, like they went out of their way. We gotta set a tone, man. If we find them, we gotta find you. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. I'm just, as long as, because like ultimately, let's get to this point. I heard Rich Eisen talking about this today. Is this going to affect wins and losses in September, Wudi? Rodgers not being here for this 2-day mandatory minicamp this week?
3 words. Not one bit.
Of course not. So, like, I mean, ultimately, and there's a lot of people, I wrote a story about it for Evan because I couldn't believe it. There was a lot of people freaking out. You know what? Let me read you a couple of those, Wudi. There's a couple of people that freaked out over this Aaron Rodgers absence. Here's what some people said in response. I have this on heavy.com. There's also a direct link in our description here on YouTube to this story. Matt Miller of ESPN said, "Give me the under on Jets wins this year," in response to Rodgers' absence from minicamp. I'll let you react to each one. So there you go. There's Matt Miller of ESPN. He said, quote, "Give me the under on Jets wins this year now."
Idiot.
Okay. We had Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk. Quote, "Aaron Rodgers skips first day of mandatory minicamp without permission from team, and he used the gif of the dog. This is fine with the building burning around it." And some Jet fans were getting after him in the comment section. And he said, "Hey, man, it's inexcused."
Yeah. I think the kids now say bait. That's a bait comment.
Yeah, it feels like it. And there's plenty of people in defense of Rodgers. Ian Rappaport of NFL Network said, "Worth noting, Aaron Rodgers has been present for all the OTAs, basically everything else, just not today. He wasn't there." By the way, it's important to note, shout out to Brian Costello, Rodgers was there yesterday for the full media day. So he took his physical, which apparently he passed, by the way, for those who are curious. And he did the media day, which is photos and videos. If you ever go to the Jet Stadium and, it's like third down and you see like a little video of Aaron Rodgers going, "Yeah, get up off your feet." You see that on a little Jumbotron? These are the videos they're recording in June. Those little things where you have like Quincy Williams going like this, like Hulk Hogan. "Can I hear you? Can I hear you?"
You got Sam Darnold out with mono.
Yeah, right, exactly. All of that is June picture video taking that the Jets team will use for future articles. Like if they need a picture of Sam Darnold, like throwing a football or something, like those are all the stuff they end up using for all their graphics, videos, pictures, and all that stuff. And Rodgers was there yesterday. But the more important part, he was there for the physical, and then he left to whatever event he had to do that obviously the Jets did not reveal on what that is. So again, I just saw a lot of those and it just made me laugh because it is what it is. I have never seen an injury more made fun of than this one, because someone showed me a picture from a baseball stadium. They were doing a joke like who threw more passes. It was like a baseball joke in the middle of an inning. Aaron Rodgers or this random pitcher, and they're trying to dunk on the fact that Rodgers got hurt, and people are laughing on social media. I just don't get it. It's kind of sick. Like, so I hope that this massive chip, as it appears to be on Aaron Rodgers' shoulder, and it seems like much ado about nothing for this situation. But obviously, it's causing a lot of headlines on social media and things of that nature, the fact that he's not there. And also his other comment, if you remember that, back from like January, we said excuse my Guatemalan, all the bullshit needs to get flushed out that's non-football. I saw that quote being rerun today. Like, oh, wow, football mandatory minicamp, Rodgers doing something non-football related. And he was catching a lot of flack for that too.
Yeah, I don't think anybody who matters is worried. And I don't see too many of our fans worried either. So, I think it's a non-story. 100% of my worry today went to Hassan Reddick. And, I guess there's 2 A's in that first name too, AA. So
that's true.
There's that's where all my worry is going.
Fair enough. Also, I'll give a random shameless plug that I will, again, no shame in this whatsoever. I hope you guys can check out my interview with Jory Epstein of Yahoo Sports, a national NFL reporter. She did an awesome column on Quantez Stickers. And by the way, Quan is how he likes to be named and called, for those wondering. Sometimes you get nicknames from players. Oh, what does he want to be called? Quan, apparently, is what he wants to be called. But you can find that and other juicy tidbits in my interview with Jory Epstein. She's a senior NFL reporter for Yahoo Sports. That was on Boy Green Daily this morning. It's also in our video section, so check out that 30-minute chat. Learning more about Quantez Stickers and a unique path, including this guy 3 days before the draft was working at a truck wash, and he did his final 4.5-hour shift 3 days before the draft. He ended up getting a contract for $4 million. He was working at a 4.5-hour shift at a friggin' truck wash. What the hoot? So it just shows you the kind of guy he is. It's just crazy. And there was other really cool football-centric stories in there too, but I just wanted to throw a random plug on that. But there is good news, Wudi, from today's festivities. A good news quote. What about this one? And thanks to Rich Samini for asking this question. Who knows if it would have been asked if it wasn't for Rich. Rich asked about some of the injured players as we head towards training camp. Like, boy, are they going to be ready? And let's throw 2 out there that are good news right off the bat. Elijah Vera-Tucker, Morgan Moses, 2 starters on the New York Jets offensive line at guard and tackle, respectively, are fully expected, according to Robert Saleh, to be full participants day 1 training camp in July. Massive news.
Absolutely massive. Cannot be said enough. This makes me just about as happy as the Hassan news makes me sad, but it's so big. And if you think about last year, and yes, people dunk. I think people dunk on NFL injuries all the time, just pro sports injuries all the time. It may be more sensitive to you because Aaron Rodgers is our quarterback and it hurts us, so you may feel that wound. So talking about that and seeing people laugh at that, last year at this time, Saleh had no idea who was starting at the offensive line, who his starting 5 was. This time, right now, everybody can sleep at night knowing who the starting 5 is. We don't have to worry about competition and all this and all that. So that cohesion is there, and then they bring in the Nick Mangolds and the other guys come in and mentor the guys. I mean, this is giving them an actual camp to, develop that chemistry, develop that cohesion. I mean, if you remember the Titans, look what they did in 90 minutes. Now you're giving these guys 3 months to get together, strong side. You know what I'm talking about? So that they can work together. Something that I've said that Boyd Green, agreed with at that time. I won't speak for him today, but he did agree with it at the time that I said it, was that for a great offensive line, you don't need 5 all-pros. What you need are 5 guys on the same page, maybe 2 all-pros, right? And that's what this offensive line is on pace to be, right? Elijah Vera Tucker is as good as they come. Tyron Smith, still, an all-pro caliber player. You got Morgan Moses, Joe Tippmann, forgetting his first name because I always say Homer Simpson, but we're going to call him Bart.
Yeah.
John, there we go. John Jacob Jingleheimer Smith Simpson, right? All of them together, right? Get that cohesion flowing with the top end talent. There's no one below average. Let's go. That is huge in the New York Jets' chances and also Aaron's chances to stay healthy this season.
Yeah, and it's such a good point about the offensive line and continuity and chemistry, because those were the two concerns, for lack of a better word. So you had Tyron Smith. He's just old, but he's not coming off anything too crazy. So you have Tyron. Okay. John Simpson's fine. He played in all 19 games last season for the Baltimore Ravens, including the regular season. Tippmann got hurt early, but he was fine at the tail end of the year, so he's fine. The two were the right side of your formation, the right side on your little pamphlet you may be holding out in front of you. Elijah Tucker at right guard and Morgan Moses at right tackle. And any level of compromised action, we'll see him. If Sal was to say this isn't how it happened, but mid-August they should be good to go. We're like, oh boy, a couple more weeks of not playing together, shoving them together. San Francisco is the first opponent up, and they're pretty talented. So you want your unit as together as possible for something like that. So to hear right from the get-go they're going to be good to go, that is wildly encouraging for what we're going to see. And again, I think that is the straw that stirs the drink. All the other stuff, and again, we'll get to Mike Williams. We have a slight injury update there from Salah on guys like Mike Williams or ancillary pieces where you need someone for that thing to work, right? So like if Zach Wilson was the quarterback, and more on that in a second, if Zach Wilson was the quarterback, you're like, oh boy, Mike Williams could be the greatest receiver of all time, but Zach Wilson can't get in the ball. It doesn't matter. The offensive line is the one thing that impacts everything. Running game, pass protection, run protection, all of it. They are the center of the universe. Football is heliocentric around offensive line play. That is the thing that matters most in our universe, and that's what everything revolves around. So for that to be that, it was quite frankly a sigh of relief. I'm like, oh, thank God. Like ABT, how he got hurt and the time frame of his injury, like, is he going to be ready? Different people, different things. That's where potentially we could have ran into some issues. So he's good. Let's go to Mike Williams here. Shout out to my boy Ethan Greenberg, Jets team reporter. Okay, so here's our first nugget from Salah is that Mike Williams is on a Breece Hall-like recovery timeline. Now, what does that mean? As Ethan Greenberg informed us, Breece Hall was activated off the PUP list in mid-August last year, and then ultimately was the full go. So it seems like Mike Williams will not be ready for training camp, which shouldn't be surprising. That was kind of what we thought over the last couple of months. But it sounds like he'll be activated and ready to roll for mid-August, which would give him some of the ballpark of 3-4 weeks, almost a month, give or take, something in that range to get ready for the season, coming into practice mode. So that's not the end of the world. That makes me feel a little bit better than what I had been feeling up until that point. So hearing that Breece Hall timeline was another encouraging sign. Not as great as obviously ABT and Morgan, but I preferred, if I could only have one of the two, I'd prefer the ABT Morgan news versus the Mike Williams, if that makes sense.
I mean, I felt confident in Mike Williams. I think we have gone back and forth, Williams got missed weeks and all that. I just wasn't seeing that happening. And of course, it still could happen, right? Just being activated in August doesn't mean, he's 100% a go for week one.
Right.
But I always felt confident that, he would be a factor early in on the season. So seeing the Breece timeline and remembering what Breece did, you think about, Aaron Rodgers only being there for 4 plays. Well, 2 of them, were spectacular, Breece Hall plays. So if Mike Williams is on that timeline, give me that. We will eat that up. I mean, the offense, I don't want to get ahead of myself. So I start, I can't say words out as fast as I want to because I just don't want to get too excited or too hyped. But the offense is looking. They're looking. They're looking. That's all I'll say.
Which again is just exciting. It's incredibly exciting, and we'll bring this up as part of that. That's kind of an interesting pivot. Is so with Aaron Rodgers not there, obviously Tyrod Taylor is QB1. And how I felt differently in the past was, when Aaron Rodgers just got there last year. I'm trying to think of a better example, but last season you could just see it during the season. Like when you had Zach Wilson in, there was wasted reps. What do I mean by that? So, like, if a wide receiver ran a route and Zach Wilson was skipping a rock across the pond, you couldn't properly evaluate the wide receiver. You couldn't properly evaluate the defense. You can't properly evaluate anything, which is wasted reps, and you only have so few as they are. So, to me, a really interesting thing about, Rodgers in there, Saleh said he thinks it's more beneficial for Tyrod Taylor to get QB1 reps than Rodgers losing the reps, if that makes sense. Like, it's a better gain than a net loss. And he's right, because the defense can still be tested. Tyrod Taylor, from everything I've been hearing from all these Jets reporters, we'll be talking to another one for our, what is it? What are you calling it? Threesome Thursday? What is it?
Definitely not that. Third party.
Right.
Third party Thursday.
Yeah, that's different. Right. Yeah. Whoops. Anywho. Whatever.
All right. Yes,
Anywho,
third party Thursday. We got somebody good coming this Thursday.
Right, third party Thursday. Excuse me. Excuse my Guatemalan to the 300 people live here on the show. Third party Thursday, we'll have a special guest joining us. But, the thing that I've heard from all the reporters is Tyrod Taylor's got a freaking bazooka attached to his arm, which is what I've heard in the past. But to see he still has it at his age and that he's testing defenses and loading deep and doing all kinds of things, that's phenomenal and great for all these guys, because that means Garrett's getting work, defense getting work, and all these other things. So, again, would I feel differently if Zach Wilson is the one who somehow was still here in this bizarre world and he's the one that's leading all these reps? Absolutely. Tyrod Taylor is a more than competent backup quarterback. So I feel good about that portion of the exam. And again, to be honest, if he's getting reps, again, if not him, I would have loved for Jordan Travis. Obviously, he's not medically cleared yet for full football activity. So that would have been another great, okay, let's see the youngster. Let's again, I'm glass half full. What's the glass half full part of these conversations? In Rodgers' case, Tyrod's getting those reps. So that part of it, I just want to make sure I get out there that I feel good about that, because I feel very confident about our backup quarterback situation heading into the year.
Definitely. I mean, I've had the utmost confidence in Tyrod. That's a really good point about no wasted reps. I'll push back on, Jordan Travis. If, we were given the youngster, there's no way he's coming in, looking like Tyrod right off the jump. So I like it how it is, getting these guys their reps, like you said, testing the defense, all those receivers, who are actually getting rewarded for their crisp routes. Sign me up. Like I said, the offense, it just looks like everything is coming together. It really, really looks like the world is about to see an offense that looks absolutely nothing like it has in their previous years of the Saleh era.
Yeah, and the only other thing, and feel free to add anything you'd like here, I'll just say, again, injuries. Breece Hall's not participating today. I don't give a flying hoot. Again, put that bastard on ice as far as I'm concerned. And again, glass half full, Braylon Allen, Isaiah Davis. All right, slap on the ass, get a ton more reps. That's great. I only saw one injury, I guess, from practice today is Izzy. He had to be helped off the field and gotten some, love and attention. Obviously, we've been very clear with our Izzy takes today, but I hate seeing players get injured. Again, I hope any player that for whatever reason I just don't see it with, I hope they prove me wrong and shut me up, because I think that's the medium here as two Jet fans talking here. Prove me wrong and be awesome. Phenomenal. That's great. I win. Even if I lose, I win. Okay, great. And if I'm right, great. Pat myself on the back. But if I'm wrong, awesome. We get a player that's more capable than I would have thought for a particular set of circumstances. So hoping he's okay. We don't know the severity of that, and not like Sal or anybody's going to give full injury updates at this point anyway. Again, remember, Chuck Clark got hurt on the final practice, the final OTA. Last year, we didn't hear anything about it till, it felt like a significant time later. So first off, Breece Hall, he's not pressing today, which again, I was totally cool with. Great, put him on ice. I don't need to see any of these guys. Let's have these guys ready for the opener. That's most important. And the only other thing was that Izzy injury. Was there anything else we missed, Wudi, that you want to get to?
You probably almost certainly talked about this on Boy Green Daily, but I didn't get to mention Jakeem Grant.
Oh, yes.
the camp body. It really seems like this team is really focused on being one of the best special teams units in the league, which is amazing. It's people were almost arguing to take it out of the game, but it's such an important phase of the game. Definitely changes so many things when you have a kicker who can consistently hit a 50-yard field goal, right? It completely changes how the offense is run. And then, of course, if you're having these returns, now we got these fancy returns. If you have a reliable returner, right, now you're flipping field position at a higher clip when not that much pressure's on your defense to, get the interceptions, when, it's kind of been an issue for this unit. So this is a great way to kind of, complementary football. That is how the great teams do it. It's complementary football. The Jets have been horrific with that for many, many, many years now. So hopefully this is the year. It looks like it, because the offense, like I said, the offense is looking. And then, special teams are putting so much effort, so much energy, so many bodies. I'm not even saying that Jakeem Grant's going to make the team, but iron sharpens iron. This hustle, this grind to make somebody is getting better at the end of this. That's what I know. That's what I can bet on. Not who's making what, but that the people involved are getting better. And then the defense should be solid. If they can secure Reddick, then it'll be lights out. So I think things are looking good.
Yeah, let me address that, because we did not talk about it actually on Jakeem Grant this morning. We would have in a normal scenario, but we didn't because of the Joy Epstein interview instead. So I'm glad that you brought that up. They also are trying out several players. There are 6 players in total that they're quote-unquote trying out, and Jakeem Grant is one of them. Remember, obviously, they signed to the 90-man roster Tariq Cohen, who's another one that's shown some chutzpah. He's another one of those special teamers. And the 2 of note, to me, well, actually, the 3 of note, excuse me. So there's Jakeem Grant, who you just mentioned. He's a freaking elite speedster. He's a former All-Pro as well in the return department. He's spectacular. So they're kicking the tires. None of these guys are signed to the roster. They're trying out as part of this mini camp this week. So Jakeem Grant, he's really talented. And 2 other players, this will be the focus of Boy Green Daily tomorrow morning, diving in a little bit more on these 2 guys. It's Pat Elflein, who is a former interior offensive lineman. You should remember the name. He was with the Jets a couple of years ago, started 6 games for the New York Jets in the dark period. So again, I'd understand if you forgot purposely that he was there for that. Again, I think center depth is one of the most underrated needs on the team. More on that in a little bit. And Tack McKinley, a former first-round pass rusher. And if anyone can get the most juice out of the orange, I'm halfway through my story. I'll be posting it in a little bit on Heavy on Jets, talking about, again, Elflein and McKinley in particular, because we already wrote about Jakeem Grant yesterday. But that's a sneaky need for the Jets at backup center. And then, so Pat Elflein stands out from that perspective. And I just love the Jets' scheme and rotation. They seem to get the most talent out of people. So if you give them a talented piece of clay, they get the most out of it, whatever that looks like. We'll see. Again, none of these guys are signed to the roster. The 6 we mentioned here, which, by the way, I could name some of them, but you may not know. Ilm Manning, I don't believe that's one of the brothers. Corey Luciano, Jeremy Lewis, and then the other 3 that I mentioned there, and Tack McKinley, Pat Elflein, and Jakeem Grant, who ring the bell for me. But I will say, from a special teams perspective, it doesn't hurt at all for the Jets to kick the tires, to invite a guy to a tryout, Jakeem Grant, to have a guy signed to the roster, in Tariq Cohen, who could make the practice squad, could be a part of that. That would be kind of interesting. John Hepburn asks, how is the kick going to affect an onside kick? You need to now announce an onside kick. You can't do it by surprise anymore. And then it's normal onside kick rules. When you say onside kick, everyone goes, all right, and they line up normally. Outside of that, it'll be this very weird, convoluted thing that, like I said, we haven't seen before. It's going to dramatically change. There are people that deplug right now. They're going to tune in on September insert on the first game of the season, go, what the flying hoot? When it's Chiefs Ravens, they're like, what is this? Like, I've been tuning in all offseason. You're going to see this weird ass kickoff return thing. And it's going to look bizarre. So it's going to take some getting used to. So onside kick, though, is gone. The surprise onside kick is gone. Thomas Morstead, our wonderful punter who was in that Super Bowl and pulled off the crazy onside kick. Right now, that does not exist in the game. There is no surprise onside kicks allowed, which is kind of sad because that was really cool. And people used to do that to me all the time in Madden, which was super annoying. I'm like, all right, just a normal kick return here. Oh, geez. Those bastards. They got me on the surprise onside kick. And apparently BSK is Threesome Thursday got the thumbs up. So wonderful. Glad stock in the right direction from that perspective. Wonderful. Wonderful.
That is that's pretty fun. Well, hey, only 2 days away from the I can't say it. But from that time, from that day, we're only 2 days away from that day with the three of us having a grand old time.
I hope so. I hope it is a grand old time. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. It's we always have fun.
Yes.
We can invite someone else into the fun, and it's a great time.
That's right. That is it. A couple of shout outs. I see we have a bunch of people. We have Abby in the Instagram comment section. She said Wudi said quinceañera. He did work that into today's show, so I don't know what the over-under was heading into the program, but yeah. And I see Connor from New York Flight Jets Talk. We'll be starting a show here, doing Monday shows. I can't just do enough shows. So we got Boy Green Daily, we got Boy Green Meets Wudi, we got this Connor show, which is I can't remember the name off the top of my head. I'm going to be honest. That's terrible. I should probably know whatever the name of that show is going to be. But it's like Boy Green and Connor or something. I don't know. But
it's not the second name. I mean, it's not the first name that you've bungled today, so it's okay.
That's a good point. Yeah,
that's names to keep up with.
That's right. Yeah, but either way, I'm excited that it'll be on Monday evening. So I hope you guys can check that out. It should be a lot of fun, and I'm very much looking forward to doing more shows. Connor's super talented, obviously, and that should be a very fun show. So I'm looking forward to that with NY Flight Jets Talk, and that'll be on all of our social media portals. So I hope you guys will be able to check that out, obviously, coming up in the near future. So that should be an absolute doozy. And again, this is the final leg. So we got to really enjoy this here, Wudi. We got to really enjoy the fact that, we're going to have the show in the huddle. Finally, I found it. It's in the huddle. Okay, that is, we will be in the huddle, Boy Green and Connor, and you guys can also join us in the huddle on Monday evenings. Thank goodness. That would have killed me if I couldn't have remembered that. So in the huddle, I'm looking forward to that. There'll be a Monday show. But on Thursday, we'll get a Jets reporter on the show to get some more insights onto everything he's seen and some more observations. And then, Woody, we get freaky next week, which I'm going to be kind of looking forward to. That'll be interesting. Our different places we can go without news here. What shows can we create? That's the best time of the year.
Oh, the places you'll go.
Should be fun. Wudi, thanks, pal. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to the near 400 people in the room live right now, or the folks that end up watching after the fact. We appreciate you guys as well. Make sure you guys like the video. Hit subscribe on YouTube, youtube.com/BoyGreen25. We appreciate you. I'll be back on tomorrow morning for Boy Green Daily at 7:30 in the morning, and me and Wudi will be back on Thursday at 3 o'clock.
What kind of Thursday?
That is I almost did it again. It is a...
alliteration.
It's not threesome. It's oh boy, that's the only word in my head right now.
Third party.
Right, a third party. Oh boy, that would have been. I don't know what's on my mind. I guess I do know what's on my mind. Inappropriate. I need to go to the confessional immediately after this show. Apparently, I got to get some stuff off my chest. But third party Thursday. That's got to be gotta get that on a T-shirt. That'll help me remember. Third party Thursday. So we'll have a third person joining this relationship. This has got off the road. I'm not quite joining the party. No, wait. Joining the show? Joining the program.
I mean, it is a show. Yes. Joining the discussion.
It should be a good time from a third party perspective. Us virtually all there in a triangle, not a love triangle, like a shape. Anywho, I don't think there's any proper way to segue from that, Woody, but yeah.
There is not, but we hope you had a great time today. And I know if you had a good time today, there will be triple the fun on Thursday.
Should be a doozy. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Take care.